This is Parshat Vayishlach. It's the mysterious confrontation between Yaakov and what's described in the Chumash as an Ish, some man who starts to wrestle with Yaakov, and it seems that Yaakov is victorious. He has him in a headlock, and now suddenly the story changes and we realize it can't be as simple as it sounds, because the man says, you got to let me go because it's sunrise. And Yaakov says, I'm not letting you go until you bless me. Is that what you do to a mugger? You say, I need a blessing. And what is the blessing? So this person says, your name will be changed from Yaakov to Yisrael. He's basically just letting him know what happens later on in the Parsha, that God changes his name. So what is going on here? Of course, we can't really understand this without the help of the Midrash Rabbah and the Gemara. So what's going on here? We're talking about the long-term relationship between Edom, which is the last of the exiles. That's what Asa represents. Edom, the West, Rome, and the Jewish people. And two of the details in this story really talk to, the negative implications of this relationship. Because on the one hand, it says in the story that Yaakov is injured. That's how we get the Gedanashe. Is injured above his thigh. And the Midrash takes that to mean that there is an injury, a fatal injury, that Edom is inflicting upon the great scholars of the Jewish people. It's called the Shmad. The Ramban identifies this as during Mishnaic times. He even quotes from a Midrash that says how Jews were tortured to death with hot metal balls under their armpits. And the Ramban adds in an editorial note. He says, in our day, he lived in the 13th century, we have that and worse. So you see the relationship in Jewish history between Edom and the Jewish people. Furthermore, in the story, according to the version of the Midrash, the Malach sets a fire to try to intimidate Yaakov. And this fire, according to the Midrash, is represented by trials by fire that happen so often in Jewish history. But there is a bright side, because after all, Yaakov does emerge victorious, and you have to understand, what does that mean? Can a man of flesh and blood overpower an angel made out of fire? So it's not the physical force that has overpowered this angel. It's the spiritual force of Yaakov with his tremendous devotion and his tremendous faith. That's how he was able to overcome. And what did he wrestle from this angel? What promises? So that's where there are some clues. The Midrash says something very enigmatic. It says that because this angel gave a promise that his name was going to be changed, and it did in fact happen shortly afterwards, that is how we know that at the end of days, the Jewish people will come back to Israel and come back to Yerushalayim, build the third Beit HaMikdash, and once again be able to worship God in Messianic times. So that's a very unusual notion, because in this story, the angel said that this is what's going to happen, and it happened. That's how we know that our great prophets, including Moshe and all the other prophets, are telling the truth. So to solve this enigma, the Midrash gives us two hints, and they're both found in the story. The first hint is this whole idea of changing your name, because the Midrash says, you know how important it is. What does it mean when you change your name? There's actually a violation of a positive commandment of the Torah. If you know someone whose name is Avram and you call him Avram instead of Abraham, that's wrong, because Avram's name was changed to Avraham, just like Sarah's name, Sarai, was changed to Sarah. And what did it mean for them? It meant that their whole destiny was changed. They weren't able to have a child. Sarah was not at the age where she could physically have a child, and Avram was very late, very old, and they had a child. Their destiny was changed because of the name change. So now that's our first hint, that the story is about a name change. It means that what Yaakov wrestled from this angel was a change in destiny. a dramatic change in destiny, not in the throughout Jewish history, but at the end of Jewish history, our destiny, right? And the second hint is, and by the way, he's called Yisrael because, as it says, Kisarita em Elokim v'em Hashim. You fought with angelic creatures and with people, and you prevailed. That is what exactly is going on here. The second hint is when the angel says, Shalcheni ki la shachar, let me go because it's a dawn of a new day. What does that mean? So the Midrash says the dawn of a new day, when the sun comes up, it's really a symbol of God's tremendous power in the world, how things can change radically. The dawn of a new day means that resurrection is possible. The dawn of a new day means that the final Geula, the final redemption of the Jewish people is going to happen. Just like the sun rises, this is going to happen. And the Jewish people will in fact come back to Israel and set up the Beit HaMikdash in Messianic times. And that is all the part of the concession that was wrestled from this angel. In fact, you see that Yaakov went on with great confidence, because right after this, he actually confronts his real foe, his brother Esav, and he's not afraid anymore. And you see that he actually says to Esav that, when I saw your face, it was like the face of an angel. He was giving him a hint, and he was saying, I already wrestled your guardian angel, and I was victorious. So I can certainly wrestle you if I have to. And he was also saying the word panim. He was already alluding to our building of the Beit HaMikdash and seeing God panim el panim. And lo yiru panai rekam. You have to come to the temple with sacrifices and don't come empty-handed. So the word panim for him was already far in the future, saying, I know what I've wrestled from this angel. I know how Jewish destiny has changed. And finally, Esav says to Yaakov, hey, why don't you come with me? And Yaakov says, the sheep are weak, and I'll meet you later. And what does it mean, I'll meet you later? It means we will have a confrontation again in the future. And that, of course, is a famous pasuk that says, Valu Moshiim b'Har Tzion l'shpot et Esav v'yisar Shem lucha. One day, those that were exiled from Zion will come back to Zion, and there will be retribution and judgment on Esav, and that is the end of times, and that is what Yaakov meant to say. We will meet again, because there will be a final meeting in which all these concessions that he got from winning this confrontation with the angel will play out, and that is what is so important about this confrontation. It's really about the end of times. Have a great Shabbos.